Okay, welcome back to the Investigative Journal on this July 10th, 2015 day on our calendar. I'm your host, Greg Anthony, out on the Pacific Ocean right now on July 10th, about 9:05. Wait a second, my timing is off here. About 6:05 in the evening, and if you haven't been listening to this show the last few days, I'm in search of the Great Ice Wall. And what that means is I'm out to prove with my own eyes that the Earth is not a globe. And I was 3 days into the journey. I'm not in a good... Just a second. Yeah, I'll be right with you. Okay. I'm not in a good mood today. As I said, I'm not making great time. I'm on course, but about 2 hours ago, luckily now I've got a radio. I've got an internet signal at 3 bars. So I'm okay for a while. Maybe I can get this in, and probably won't be able to talk to you this whole hour. But I got a Mr. Jeranism. That's what he calls himself. We're in about 20 minutes into a discussion he has on the same subject. Now I'll have to put that on. But let me tell you what happened. You think you're free on land? You're not free in the ocean either. Now I've had a commercial fishing license, which is expired. Unfortunately, I'm not in the market to commercially fish. And when I had that commercial fishing license, I was aware that the Coast Guard and especially Fish and Game can board your boat anytime without probable cause. I guess probable cause doesn't exist on the ocean. We never talked about that in law school. I told that to the Fish and Game and Coast Guard who boarded my boat about 2 hours ago. And that nearly got me put into shackles. And at that particular juncture, I said, go ahead, check everything. And that's what they do. And basically they boarded the boat wanting to know if I had any fish that weren't on the list of catchable fish if you have a commercial fishing license. And I said, no, I don't have a commercial license. I had one. I don't even have a pleasure license. I'm going to find the Great Ice Wall, and the only thing I have is a couple fishing poles to eat. And they said, well, you can't do that. Do you have any fish on board? I said, well, the only ones I have are 2 of them, sea bass, that I caught about 5 hours ago, and they're one's in the ice box, and the other's in the sink ready to get filleted. They said, let me go look at that. So they take pictures of it. They say that I'm in violation of California law for fishing without a license. And I said, all I want to do is eat. That's not good enough. So, guess what? They're aborting my trip for it. They've given me a fine now, which is about $550 and maybe more. And I said, well, I'm going west. They said, no, you're not, son. You're going east. I said, well, how about if I pay it from Hawaii? Well, anyway, they are escorting me back to the coast, and they're ahead of me now by about 500 yards, and they've got me on their radar tracking, so they're not going to stay with me. But if I turn around and go the other way, they'll just find me again. So I'm on my way back. My trip to the ice wall has been aborted, and they're off the boat now. But this is what you get. I mean, you can't even eat fish anymore without somebody coming on your boat. You think you got more freedom on land. I didn't get far enough out. All right, so what's going to happen here? I got to raise some money to pay this fine, and probably have to stay on land for another few weeks to raise that. Maybe I'll get my stand-up comedy show going, and then I'll take off again. So, the aborted trip, I better go back, and I'm heading right back to shore. So anyway, while I do that, I got a couple things I got to prepare here. In fact, they didn't take the fish, so I might even eat it. And then I'll say, they got a picture of it though. I'll say that was a fake fish when I go to court and fight this. But anyway, that's what it's all about. Now, when I had my commercial fishing license, guess what? You know how many times my boat was boarded? And they check your, fish hold and what do you fish, and it's crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. But anyway, let's put on, I wanted to not forget our goal, even though I'm heading back right now. After 3 days in search of this great ice wall, it's been aborted by the Gestapo, California Fish and Game people, and I'm heading back. But I've got this video. We don't want to lose sight of our goal. So this gentleman here is giving you information on why the Earth is not a globe. He's upset. He said he doesn't want his children being taught that. Reminds me of the story of Angela Barnes. Back in the early 1900s, she had a movement to get rid of all the globes in school because she said it's based on false science, and we're not living on a globe. So anyway, let's get back to him. I'm getting back to land. We'll see you. I got a weekend here, so we'll see you next week, probably from land on the Investigative Journal. And here is Mr. Jeranism.
So, Laser, can you please contact me, jeranism@yahoo.com. I just want to borrow it. You could mail it to me.
Okay, he's looking for a nano laser to do another test to show you the horizons. There's no curvature near, so if you got one, you can go to Jeranism, and you can find that on YouTube or something. His email, Jeranism, I think it's jeranism@yahoo.com if you got a nano laser, whatever that is.
I'm going to use it once, and then I'm going to wrap it back up and mail it back to you. I'll even pay for your shipping to me. Otherwise, I got to go out and spend $100, which I don't have, on a nano laser. Once I have my nano laser, I'm going to go to a lake here in California, take a couple buddies with me, and we're simply going to find a spot where the banks are 3 miles across from each other. Using the calculations we just came up with, 8 times 3 is, 24 times 3 is 72. And then we're going to divide that by 12, and that gives us 6 feet. So if you look at my little drawing here, we're going to build a little housing. It's going to be that little triangle thing in the upper right-hand corner. It's going to be barely 6 inches high. It's going to house the laser, which is going to sit about water level, could be about 6 inches higher, on one side of the bank, 3 miles across, and we're going to shoot the laser to the other side. Very simply, if the laser is 6 inches above the water at the other side, the Earth is flat. If the laser is 6 feet in the air, taller than a human, it would be 6.5 feet actually. If it's 6.5 feet above the water, then the Earth is curved. Easy test, and all I need is a nano laser so that it goes all the way across, which is a total of 3 miles. I think most of the nano lasers go 5 to 10. They have enough power, and then by putting it in the housing, it should be plenty steady. The other good thing about doing the test this way is it is actually fail-proof, because if we were on a curve, and you can see on the left side of this image here, if the Earth is curved, it will be impossible.
Okay, you got that test, and the reason it would if the laser goes 6 inches across all the way, what that means is the calculations that they've given you are wrong, and you can widen that out to 6 miles, 10 miles, 15 miles, and you'll find that the laser will go 6 inches across the water, and you'll see it on the other side at that level, and which means they're really FOS, if you get my gist. Now, here's the deal. I didn't want to lose sight of what I'm trying to do. I'm on my way back, escorted by the California Fish and Game, and you should have saw there. When I said I was on search of the ice wall and the Earth is not round, they thought I was crazy. I think they want to put me in a mental institution when I get back. But I heard one guy saying he's not fit to captain a ship because he thinks that. Well, I'm thinking to myself, what about Captain Cook? What about all these people? Columbus, the same. You get BS. Columbus thought the Earth was the same distance. He didn't realize. He knew it wasn't a globe. And they tell you he did. And there's a bunch of other explorers, and I started seeing that. Then I said the wrong thing. I said, you know something? I don't even believe there's satellites up there. And then they really looked at me. Then they didn't, then we were joking. And then I said, well, listen, guys, check my bio. I'm a stand-up comic in my day job. I'm a SAG actor. I've got a few different professions over the years to survive. Didn't say that to him. Didn't tell them I was a journalist. Didn't want to get into that. Then they would have really probably thrown me overboard and fed me to the sharks. But anyway, so I'm on my way back. Sorry I couldn't continue. But we'll get this moving. Don't worry. And in the meantime, while I tend to a few things here on the boat, and I think Max, my big dog, happy he's going back to land. He doesn't like it out on the water. I may have to make other arrangements for him and my other dog. I don't know if that's fair to take them with me. I'll miss them, though. But anyway, we will talk again. I'm going to get back to this discussion on the Circle Earth.
Possible for me to shoot the laser to 6 inches above the water because it would have to go through the water, which it does not do. So it is kind of fail-safe that we're either going to find out whether it's flat or curved. I'm going to film it, tape it. We'll have it all up there for you so you can watch me. The only thing we're missing now, the nano laser. So if anyone's got one or can get a deal somewhere so that they're not $100, please contact me via email. I would love to get this proof out there. And then first step I'm taking is getting it removed out of the schools because that is some bullshit. That they have convinced us that something is science when it is religion. And I am truly sorry, atheists, that you hate God or the idea of a creator so much that you're willing to go to these lengths to get your stupid ball in your stupid outer space taught in schools so that we all believe it is fact. Your gig is up. Show some proof or get out. Earth is not a globe. And we'll show some more examples of that. Here, now you start to see why I'm getting so frustrated because some of these videos will make you die laughing. First, we've got some eclipse nonsense. Alright, so lately I've been digging into some eclipse stuff, trying to figure out exactly what's going on with the eclipses and the flat Earth. And you'll see here comes the moon from the top, which causes the sun to start to rotate. You could see the sunspots were kind of on that right side, and now here they come up the top and they keep rotating around because that happens. Does that ever happen on Earth? Survey says. Next we've got a little side view of the eclipse from Earth, or of Earth, and you'll see here comes the shadow there on the right side of the Earth. But if the shadow is going around the back side of Earth, how is that possible? How is the shadow going over there? Isn't the sun on the left-hand side? We just saw the shadow on the left-hand side as it came across. How is the sun still going around the back of the Earth? Holy nonsense. Now, how about this one? We're flying in from the sun, and it's showing, oh, is this what happens during an eclipse? Oh.
He's showing some computer-generated images of NASA that NASA gives out. And you're going to have to use, on radio, you're going to have to use your mind's eye to kind of realize what he's talking about. But anyway, might be difficult, but I'll push forward.
Oh, I see. And then the moon comes in front. Now, that's peculiar because the moon takes 28 days to get around the Earth, you jackasses. What kind of image are we showing people? That is not what happens. You just completely... Look at... What is that? It's rotating at the same speed as the Earth? No. We rotate once every 24 hours, you guys said, and the thing rotates 28 days around us. So stop showing me bullshit. Now, here in this image, oh, is this what happens during eclipses? Okay, I see. So the moon kind of goes in front of the sun. Makes sense. Here comes the Earth. What the hell is it doing? That's not the way the Earth rotates the sun. What are we showing people? This is what science has become. This is bullshit. It doesn't even...
No, he's right. When you see these images, it's impossible. But people, we have learned a lesson. Didn't we learn a lesson when Hitler told us, the bigger the lie, the more people believe? Yes, my dog even said that. He's barking once. He's on a deck. I better get him, so let me put this back on.
Even explain your guys' theory. This is not...
Next thing you'll know, I have a Malamute in the water. Do you ever try to get him out of the water? Oh, my God. I better get out there. Okay, Max, I'm coming.
The Earth going? It doesn't cross the sun going right to left, ever. Where's the moon going? What is this animation showing? Now you guys see why I'm livid, because this is bullshit. And people just believe it. They're even, are anybody watching this? Oh, here comes the moon, and it dips down, and then kind of pauses, and then fills in perfectly, and we get the bright light behind it, and then it goes up and out. I mean, is somebody dropping something in and calling it an eclipse? What is going on here? And this next video was a video taken from Australia. So you're like, okay, a video. Thank God this is going to show me something real. You'll see now the moon is creeping from left to right. Everybody see that? The moon is creeping left to right. So I'm confused. Is it because it's Australia? Is the moon upside down? Is everything upside down? None of your guys' stuff makes sense. Half the time it's showing right side up, half the time it's upside down. And this is just crazy because, okay, it's about to be a full eclipse. It's going to completely cover it. At which point, then it would be completely covered, or will there be a little outer glow, the sun's corona, or whatever you want to call it. But let's see, it's getting pretty close here. People in Australia are about to go crazy. So let's see, their count is getting 3, 2, 1. Oh, they were a little late. But now, this is the kind of nonsense I just do not get.
No, this is good.
And it's completely covered. It's out. There's no light. Boom. Moon takes up the whole sun. It's completely dark in the world. People are crying. It's very sad. Now, what happens here, and this is what I'm talking about, this is bullshit. Who is lying to us? What happened to that image? What was that? It was just black. How did all of a sudden this glow appear around the sides of it? At the same time, the video kind of went out like it was edited. I mean, I can't be the only one who watches this stuff. And in a minute, we're going to watch some more NASA footage from their stupid ISS. And I'm telling you, if you guys are looking for something to do, Friday night, you're bored, go to ISS Live. Thursday.
Okay, I've done that. Go to ISS Live. That's supposedly that is the 24-hour space station video. They're sending you live feeds. It is a whole what a joke. What a joke.
Thursday night you're bored, Tuesday morning you're bored, Sunday morning you're bored. Get your whole family together, gather them around the couch, put that on TV, and laugh your damn asses off because it's a joke. There's not one part of that that is even close to being somewhat legit, and there's people out there, I won't mention any of their names, however, one of them is a color of the rainbow. I'll just leave it at that. One of their YouTube names starts with a color of the rainbow. But on one of his comments, on one of his videos, somebody was saying how great these astronauts in the ISS are, and he followed it up with, yeah, they've been up there doing it for 15 years like bosses. Doing what? Wasting $150 billion on what has the ISS given humanity? What has NASA given humanity? Nothing.
They have given us computer-generated images. Yes.
What has evolution given humanity? Nothing. What is
Evolution has given us this idea that we're worthless.
gravity given humanity? What is
Gravity has given us this idea that, everything, it's just a nonsense theory. It's given us nothing when you really think about it. They use it in whenever they can't explain something, gravity comes into play.
relativity given humanity?
Not given us Einstein.
This is nonsense. That's not science. And don't tell me, oh, you like computers, you like calculators. Guess what? Humans invented that stuff, folks. Without NASA, humans would have still invented it. NASA's a joke.
Nerve-wracking right
Listen
until
to
the
this girl.
last minute, and then Queensland delivered. It was great.
Absolutely amazing, and then more. I think I just feel tiny. I feel like a little ant, insignificant. You know, you see the movement of the Earth, and it's...
That's what NASA did, ladies and gentlemen. That's what science did. That's what evolution did. That's what the universe did. That's what planets did, and stars, and 1.8 quintillion miles away. They made people feel insignificant, and now they're a bunch of dicks because of it. I'm telling you. Possibly the saddest thing I know is we could change the world tomorrow. The Earth could supply clothing, food, and shelter for all 8 billion of the people across the plane if we just decided to do it. But instead, we've got controllers, and we can't get them out of office because all you assholes are in love with them, and in love with science, and in love with Neil Tyson deGrasse, and in love with Richard Dawkins. These guys are not bringing anything to humanity. Think about it. Think about it. What has...
Those, yeah, I think he's a little upset, and a little bit of harsh words. But anyway, you got to look past those things. I mean, everybody has one, as he was calling us, and put it this way. I know what he's saying. He could have used a better choice of words. But sometimes people, I think he's really serious about this. But one thing he's got to understand is this is never going to change. See, he's got this idea that, people make the difference here. It's not ever going to change. It's going to get worse. And the reason it's going to get worse is that the only thing that can change this is the Creator. And so we have to be able to just make ourselves available, try to look at it from that point of view, and I think the anger will dissipate. Because when we realize it isn't in our hands, and what's in our hands is the ability to understand these things that he's pointing out, which is really fascinating. So let's go.
Atheism done besides put a bunch of people in forums so that they can act like they're cool by yelling at Christians? It's like, look what you believe in. 1.8 quintillion miles, I'd rather believe in the virgin birth. It honestly is just so frustrating. So very frustrating. I mean, look at this next image. They always show this image. Now look where I'm drawing my yellow lines here. Where's the rest of the sunlight? When did the sun start pointing only at the moon? It's like these diagrams are crap, and they're all meant to keep you in confusion. As is this stupid plane flying out of nowhere. I don't even know what this is going on here. This is in Spanish, by the way, so I couldn't even understand what they were saying in the video. I just watched the video and cried. But it's disgusting. I mean, none of it makes any sense. We expect kids to know this, and it's terrible. It's crap. I love this video. Let's see here. The moon is spinning, because this happens all the time in real life. The moon rotates like a counterclockwise clock.
What he's doing, he's showing a lot of different NASA-generated image pictures, and in the background, kids studying this through microscopes and telescopes and whatever. What he's getting at is that, and I think I've said this a long time ago, that this has become a religion, a false sense of belief, and putting our faith and trust into this government. And I said a long time ago, there are three, and I've got a couple minutes here. Let's see if I can get this in real quick. There are three first rules to awakening. And one is everything you have been taught is a lie by design, so start figuring out what the truth really is. Two, governments lie, and the Vatican lies 100% of the time. They always have, they always will. And three, the Illuminati, the Vatican-led Illuminati, controlled mainstream media is not a reality, but rather is lies, disinformation, half-truths, and fake events carried out by government media hired crisis actors. So think about that when you think of these false flags, all the things that they are putting forth that will come into the skies. The holographic images, they've created this kind of, they even have airplanes that look like UFOs. Get with it. There are no aliens that have been proven yet. Have there? No. We'll be back in 3 minutes.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States in 1963.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society, and we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings, for we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no secret is revealed. That is why the Athenian lawmaker Solon decreed it a crime for any citizen to shrink from controversy. I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people, confident that with your help, man will be what he was born to be, free and independent.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President today.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America?
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America?
I've got a vision for what I want to do for the country. See, I know exactly where I want to lead. It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean?
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.
Okay, we're back for the second half hour on the investigative journal in the Pacific Ocean. Going back to shore, going back to land, being escorted by California Fish and Game for wanting to eat a fish. That's about it. And if you listen to my first half hour, you'll understand what I mean. And we're in search of the Great Ice Wall. We've been delayed by California Fish and Game and the Coast Guard, and being escorted back. They're about I can see the tip of their and where their boat is right now, way ahead of me. I can prove to them when I get to shore that the Earth is circle because they must be a couple miles ahead of me, and I can still see them. So that must mean. Well, actually, let me check their distance, 3 miles, a little over, and I can still see the boat at eye level. So I guess there is no curvature of the Earth because their boat should be 6 feet under the curve, which means if their boat is about, 10, 12 feet high, I should be able to see perhaps the top mast with the radar thing, but I can see the deck. I can see the deck clearly. Now, I'm going to tell that to them when I get back. And hopefully they won't put me in a mental institution. They did make some comments that didn't think I was fit to captain a ship the way I was talking. And I said, "Do you know how to use a sextant?" He said, "No." I said, "Well, I think I'm more capable of captaining one than you are. And do you think GPS is ground-based or satellite-based?" He said, "Satellite." I said, "You see? It's not satellite-based. There are no satellites up there." Then I really freaked him out and said, "Do you know there's a firmament? Did you ever watch the movie Truman?" "Yeah, that's what we live in this kind of fishbowl." Oh, then he thought I was crazy. I said, "Well, I can't really prove that yet, but I know the Earth isn't spinning." And then he started thinking, "Yeah, he's one of those old mariners." Then we're laughing, and finally I told him, "Yes, I'm a Cub fan." And he said, "Hey, I'm from the Midwest too," so everything was fine. So we're on our way back, though. They won't let me go till I pay this fine. So I'm going to try to raise some money for this journey. after I pay this fine for catching a fish to eat without a license. Interesting. Okay, now, I was playing that. I got some other things I got to do here. It's not easy to do a radio show and make sure the boat is going in the right direction. I don't have it on autopilot now. For some reason, it's not working. Going to have to fix that. And might as well do some checkups and make sure I got everything I need in case something breaks on this long journey. But anyway, let's get back to Jeranism. I pulled up something else because that was getting a bit tedious because he was showing a lot of pictures, and you got to go to his YouTube. You'll find a lot of interesting things. Jeranism, and if you have a nano laser, can you let him use it? He's not a rich man. A nano laser. You can go to his YouTube and get his email. But anyway, here's a good one. And he found a Saudi cleric that agrees with us that the Earth is not a globe, and he also agrees that we never went to the moon. Now, I know a lot of people out there don't like Muslim people, but get over it. It isn't the Muslim people, it isn't the Christian people, it is the leaders using the Hegelian dialectic to make each other hate each other. They gotta always have chaos. And so they instigate terrorism. They create the terrorism so they can create the solution to terrorism, which is war, so they can have an outcome, which is their synthesis, New World Order. Control, peace. We the only ones who can protect you. Reminds me of the biblical story of Cain, which if you want to read it again, go ahead, and you'll see where good and evil comes from and why God ordains it in his way. And I got one thought for you, because I'm so tired of these Calvinists and all these people arguing, and even people, we have free will, we have free choice. Or we don't have free will, we don't have free choice. Calvinism says everything's predestined. I don't buy it, but I also don't buy that everyone has a free will. You think you do. It's an illusion, but you don't have it unless you really understand this one point. Test everything and choose what is good, and understand your choices of good and evil. It's not just random. It's not just you're a human being, you can choose. No. You got to pick a side, and you can only do that when you understand where it comes from. And then once you have the amount of information. For example, a lot of Christians out there, a lot of Muslims out there join their religion and they think they are making a choice for God when in fact they're not, because they really don't understand it. They just do it to follow the leader. Oh, that sounds good. I'll just make sure in case there is a God, I'll believe in this because it's safer, because there's a big, huge gap. I'm only here for 80 years. Next. I'm only here for 80 years, so I better, protect myself for eternity. But that's not a choice. The choice comes when you really understand good and evil and where it comes from, and then you can make a choice about that. Now, you can choose whether to go to the store today, or you can choose whether to, buy yourself a new pair of socks. Those are choices that you can make. But the big ones, like, you believe in God, you believe in your government, all these things, they can't be made unless you really understand it. And I say 99% of the people don't. I never did. I thought I did when I understood 9/11. I thought I did when I understood Waco. No. I thought I did when I understood this. But when did I finally have that choice? Oh, I'll leave that for another show. Back to Jeranism. But what I want to mention here, we're going to listen to a Saudi cleric. Now, immediately people are going to, these bad Muslims are trying to kill us now with ISIS. I told you to go back to my old shows about ISIS. Where is ISIS? Where did that name come from? And why do we worship ISIS at the Washington Monument? Why do we worship it at the Vatican? Why do we worship it in London? Because they created the terror. And they gave it their final name. This war and terror is not going to end. Be prepared. But know where it comes from. Okay, and so the Saudi cleric's going to talk in, Jer here is going to try to translate it And it's interesting. So listen. And then there's a few other little tidbits about the circle Earth.
What's going on, everyone? Jaronism, back again. Good video today. And this is the kind of video that I think needs to go viral. But of course, I don't know how to do that other than to make it, fill it with truth, and then hope others recognize it. So here it goes. Now, you guys may or may not remember this Saudi cleric from a few months ago. He became quite the internet sensation for being, like me, a moron. Now, I wouldn't dare try and say his name for fear I would completely butcher it, but he seems like a very nice guy. And he became an internet sensation quickly by claiming that the Earth was fixed and did not go around the sun. Now, as would be completely expected, every news channel and every atheism board and forum began to masturbate and create memes and jokes and laughing and poking fun. But I never trust those little captions that we see at the bottom of the screen, little translations. And so, being the skeptic that I am, today I used my Google app to try and translate what he said. Now, if anyone out there speaks Arabic, please would you do me the biggest favor and translate this. And you can email me at jaronism@yahoo.com. I would love to know exactly what he said. I got a lot, or the gist of what he was saying, after translating it about 3 times. But I know that some of it was wrong, as I did see it come up with Mike Tyson once, and chicken, and some other things that I don't think he said. But I did find something rather interesting. Does anyone remember him speaking at all about the moon or the moon landing? Well, this is exactly my fear. I'm always afraid that they might say something that they don't want us Americans to hear, so they're going to make fun of what he did say that they want to tell us, and leave out the part that he speaks that's important, or might be truthful, or tell us something that we don't already know. So, I'm about to translate what he said to the best of my ability. Again, I'm going to miss some things, maybe say something a little different than he said it, but I will let you guys know as soon as someone gets back to me. And as I stated, what he said about the moon did come up 3 times, so I'm able to get the gist of it. Again, most of this is the gist, but listen carefully. I think you'll be rather shocked. Okay, someone here is asking if the Earth moves or remains fixed. Well, the truth that has been described by someone's name and somebody else's name is that the Earth is actually fixed. It does not move. And this is consistent with our Quran. And it also makes sense to us in our heads. There is lots or plenty of evidence that tells us the sun rotates the earth. As for the evidence that's based on reason, well, the Westerners, they may have their theories, but we Muslims have theories as well. We have our own theories, and we have brains too, just like they do. So first, let's say that we want to go from here to an airport in China. Okay, are you with me? So concentrate now. Let's say that this is the Earth, and now let's assume that it is turning. Take a flight from China. You say the Earth is turning, right? So if the plane stops in midair, wouldn't China come to it? Am I right? China should come to the plane. If the Earth revolves the other way, then the plane could not ever catch China, no matter how long it flies. Since China is revolving, you'd never get there. And this proves that the Earth is fixed. Okay, I'm no longer translating for about the next 10 or 15 seconds. Here I kept getting multiple different renditions, nothing that was completely clear what he was saying here, so I'm not going to butcher it. Kept saying Earth and turning, and that doesn't make sense. That's not true. But coming up here in a second is where it gets interesting. Right about here or so is where he said, starting here. The Americans say they've been to and actually landed on the moon, but they have never set a foot upon it, nor have they laid their eyes upon it.
They produced it all in Hollywood, or I don't know where they did it. They say they have traveled to the moon, and we just all took their word for it, but it's not true. It is a deception. We shouldn't have taken their word for it. Now, for the life of me, I can't imagine why every news station played that video, but the only subtitles we saw were the ones where he says that the Earth does not spin. They failed to put in the part that he says we didn't go to the moon. It was a deception. It was done in Hollywood. We shouldn't have taken their word for it. But I digress. I am really interested in somebody getting me the actual translation. So again, email me please if you speak Arabic. So that brings us back to my last video where I pointed out that we understand science's explanation for why a plane cannot leave, say, from New York and simply wait for California to swing through. They say that the entire system of air and the entire atmosphere of Earth is moving along with it. So I said, if that is the truth, then being that Earth is moving 66,000 miles per hour around the sun, couldn't we lift off with our rockets and just wait in space? Because if we just waited there, well, then the moon would be coming to us, and the moon trip would have taken 4 hours rather than 3 days. Or is the atmosphere of space also like the atmosphere of Earth? Now, where the confusion set in for me was, as I've been looking up everything that people have been sending me, well, almost everything, not the death threats or the people saying that I should be put into a gas chamber, a lot of people bring up the Coriolis effect. And this made no sense because I said, wait, now the spin does affect the air? So I went to a couple videos. I wanted to learn about the Coriolis effect. So let's learn together.
If you've ever watched the news during a hurricane or wintertime nor'easter, you've probably noticed that big storms spin over time as they travel. In the northern hemisphere, they spin counterclockwise. But if you were watching a storm in the southern hemisphere, you'd see it spinning clockwise. Why do storms spin in different directions depending on their location? And why do they spin in the first place? A storm's rotation is due to something called the Coriolis effect, which is a phenomenon that causes fluids like water and air to curve as they travel across or above Earth's surface.
Time out. Time out on the floor. So the Coriolis effect is a phenomenon that causes fluids like water and air to curve as they travel across or above the Earth's surface, and this is a result of the spinning Earth. Okay, I'll go ahead and let you continue.
Here's the basic idea. Earth is constantly spinning around its axis from west to east. But because Earth is a sphere and wider in the middle, points on the equator are actually spinning faster around the axis than points near the poles. So imagine you were standing in Texas and had a magic paper airplane that could travel hundreds of miles. If you threw your airplane directly northward, you might think it would land straight north, maybe somewhere in Nebraska. But Texas is actually spinning around Earth's axis faster than Nebraska is, because it's closer to the equator. That means that the paper airplane is spinning faster as well, and when you throw it, that spinning momentum is conserved. So if you threw your paper airplane in a straight line toward the north, it would land somewhere to the right of Nebraska, maybe in Delaware.
Okay, wait, that's a technical foul or penalty or something. So you're saying, even though the Earth is rotating in that direction, that if I throw something from Texas towards the north, it is going to go also in the direction of the spinning Earth, not towards California.
So from your point of view in Texas, the plane would have taken a curved path to the right. The opposite would happen in the southern hemisphere. An object traveling from the equator to the south would get deflected to the left.
Hold up now, time out.
you need to be more clear. Are you talking about to the left, or are you talking about to the east? There's a difference, you know. Let me let you finish, because all you've done is further confuse me.
So, what does this have to do with hurricane spinning? Well, at the center of every hurricane is an area of very low pressure. As a result, the high-pressure air surrounding the center, or eye, of a storm is constantly rushing toward the low-pressure void in the middle. But because of the Coriolis effect, the air rushing toward the center is deflected off course. In the northern hemisphere, the volumes of air on all sides of the eye keep getting tugged slightly to the right. The air keeps trying to make its way to the middle and keeps getting deflected, causing the entire system to spin in a counterclockwise direction. In the southern hemisphere, where the Coriolis effect pulls air to the left, the opposite happens. Storms spin around the eye in a clockwise manner.
Aha! I caught you. Double speak, huh? So let's take an example like I've drawn here of a plane leaving California. And I don't want anybody making fun of my drawings. I'm an excellent artist. Honestly, I could draw the plane that hit the building on 9/11. Want to see? See? Told you. I could also draw the plane that hit the Pentagon. See? Now you all believe me, I'm an excellent artist. Now, back to our passenger jet. Now, you said things from the northern hemisphere had a tend to pull right. Now, do you mean the forward momentum will stay? Does it go to the east, or does it go right? Let me tell you your problem here. Let's change our throwing location to the bottom of the southern hemisphere. Now, does this phenomenon cause the paper airplane to go east, which would be the blue line? Or does it cause it to go left, which would be the red line? Or is it only as you say, and I should mind my own business? Because hopefully everyone sees the problem here. If we change to the bottom, and it goes east, isn't this the same as the northern hemisphere? And if we're on the bottom, and it goes left, well then it's the complete opposite of what you just described. Starting to sniff doublespeak. So again, just to make it clear, if we were in the northern hemisphere and we went north, and instead we were looking south, and we threw our paper airplane again, would it go east, as in towards Delaware? Or would it go right, as in towards California? Please explain yourselves a little bit better, because if it goes to the east, then that is the same that you just drew in the southern hemisphere. You're lying, and it's pathetic. To those of you human beings like myself out there, remember where we've seen this before. We saw them do this with the stars. They tried to confuse us with saying that the stars in the south went a different direction. But by just turning around, that fixed the problem. Have we solved the Coriolis effect? So, I went to Snopes.com. I don't recommend going there ever. But, I mean, they say that we landed on the moon. But I went there because I like to see what they have to say about things. It gives me an idea of what the general world believes. And the question was, does the Coriolis effect cause water to go down the drains differently in the northern and southern hemisphere? And surprise, surprise, Snopes actually told the truth and said no. That is not the cause, and that it is a fictitious statement that water drains the opposite direction. It all has to do with the bowl. So, that video you guys have been talking about that shows the bowl, I bet you if we check that bowl, it is shaped in a way that makes the water do that. So thanks a lot down there on the equator for helping to push the lies of the pseudo-scientific community. So, let's read what Snopes has to say. Snopes begins by explaining that people all over the globe experience different speeds as the Earth is spinning. So someone at the equator will be spinning 1,050 miles per hour, while somebody in, say, Alaska may be moving only 150 miles per hour. Now, no one's ever been able to explain why, if you lived in Alaska your entire life and then took a trip down to Florida, how you wouldn't get sick from the 150 mile an hour to 800 mile per hour change. But again, I think some of us are starting to see why nothing that they say makes sense. But Snopes continues, the apparent difference in speed results in the Coriolis force, an effect that imparts a twist to largish events happening away from the equator. Best known for its effect on air masses. As they move away from the equator, their speed, which matches that of where they started from. Excuse me? So if a plane starts in California, we can't then take its speed and add it to the distance that it's traveling? It continues. The Coriolis deflection sets cyclonic systems turning counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere and clockwise in the southern hemisphere. Likewise, a cannonball fired due north will seemingly veer a teeny bit to the east, and one fired to the south will apparently deflect ever so slightly to the west. Oh, you intellectuals, I'm so on to you. Anybody else notice that the end of this sentence, or the end of this paragraph, does not mention northern or southern hemisphere? That's how it makes sense. But when you add that in, it becomes a false statement. Because what would happen if I launched a cannonball and fired it south, but from the southern hemisphere? You idiots. I honestly have no idea how you got away with it for so long because, again, I admit